He was popularly known as the no-nonsense, witty, funny, knowledgeable military general. 6 years ago, the late General Kasirye Gwanga accepted my request to interview him at his favorite location in Mukono, he named Camp David. Born in 1952, Kasirye spent 42 years of his life as a military man, beginning in Uganda Army, which he joined in 1972. He rose in the ranks from private, artillery officer, staff sergeant. When war broke out between Uganda and Tanzania, he was deployed in Mutukula to fight against the invading forces. When Amin's army was defeated, Kasirye surrendered and was taken prisoner by the Tanzanians. He was imprisoned in Tanga for 1 year before the Benaisa government negotiated the release and return of political prisoners to Uganda. We pick up the interview from the time he joined the army. When did you join the army?
72.
72. What inspired you into joining the army?
Poverty.
Sure?
Sure.
Your father was a very well-to-do man.
No. He was a very hard-working man. He could put food on the table, yes. But he is a guy who had only one pair of shoes in his lifetime. You know? So we were poor because all his money went into taking his kids to school.
Okay.
Now I had my siblings also. I decided with my brother, who was killed in 82, that I should join the army so as to contribute on school fees to the others. So I joined the army. By then they had expelled the Indians.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of friends, Indian friends who went to school with, who were in Old Kampala, Aga Khan. Most of those were living in Old Kampala area, and they left us most of the property. We were sleeping in big houses, furniture, name it, because they just went off with nothing.
Yeah.
Now when these guys saw the lifestyle we were leading and then beating up an army officer, they just decided to get rid of us from the city. End of Kampala.
So they took you to West Nile, and how long did you stay there?
For the rest of my service in Amin's time, because from West Nile, I was transferred to Gulu. So I never worked in Central Region during Amin's time. Then when we joined the infantry, my friend now lives in Washington, Frank Yuchi. They wanted map instructors, and we were selected because we had the qualifications.
Yes.
We were taken to Kabamba for 9 months. After completing that course as a map instructor, that's when they gave us couple full chepe.
Yes.
That the army we are talking about, a lot of people have got very funny ideas about that army. And sometimes I laugh at the way people try to depict us.
Yes.
Because, fun enough, most of us never knew what was really going on in Kampala.
Yeah.
And when we heard about people being put in boots, we said, how can someone fit in the boot of a car?
So you didn't have an idea?
We didn't have an idea what was going on. We were just soldiering, hunting. And our job was to go into Southern Sudan to hunt for elephants. The elephants from the other end had long tusks, big ones. So that was our job. We could go hunting for about 3 months, get our share.
Yeah.
You come to Chigumba, you find the guys from Kenya. They used to come from Kenya, and they park and go. 1977, I left map instructor because of more money in artillery. I went and joined artillery. We went for 1 year course in Kavamba. I became one artillery officer. I was commanding a battery of 120 millimeter. That was a 6 gun. And I was a big man then, nice grade and all that.
So that's the time when the Tanzanians were provoking Uganda.
That's the funny part of it. A lot of people have been telling lies about that war. The Ugandan soldiers who provoked the Tanzanians.
Yes.
Juma Butabika was a lieutenant colonel, had married a Chotara girl. And that Chotara girl had a brother who Butabika took in the army as a cadet officer. After training, he was commissioned and he became a squadron commander because that mechanized, the way was mechanized, Malili. Now, when they went for guard duties, and I think that was around August 1978, that boy they crossed over into Tanzania to drink, a group of them. Like, as you know, soldiers, they go drinking. They used to cross border and go in Tanzania. Now when they went, they had a fight with Tanzanian soldiers. There was a squad of soldiers, Tanzanian.
Across the border?
Across. So they had a fight in the bar, like soldiers. Now, Ugandan soldiers were beaten badly. This Chotara boy and his friends were really beaten. So they rushed back to the barracks, jumped into APCs, and went back.
Without command?
Without any command from the center. Even Amin never knew, no one knew what happened, but we got the real story. That war was started by just one stupid little Chotara boy. So, when those people, the Tanzanian soldiers, saw these guys coming back in armored vehicles, they took off.
And now, these guys crossed the border and went and ravaged the village.
Exactly. Now they are as if they have fought a war. They have defeated this one. They went into a town called Chaka. Started looting shops. Without we don't even know anything. I mean, got to know what's happening. And you know the way he reacted. He knew he had a big army, tanks and air force. So he said
there is planes.
Planes to go and bomb the what? The bridge, which they failed to, and they had to get guys from Chirembe mines. Because they knew they should cut the bridge, for those people should not come into Uganda. By then, I think they were getting it hot. We had not joined them. So when those Air Force guys failed, they brought Chirembe mine people.
The Chirembe mines people were mining gold.
Yeah, they put dynamite. That's how they blew up that bridge.
You as an artilleryman, people used to talk about the Sabasaba. What was the Sabasaba?
The Sabasaba was the Katyusha of today, the 12 barrel.
Yes.
Bo, get out. The 12 barrel, we had never seen them. We didn't have it. We were using 120 millimeter, 160 millimeter. Mortars mostly. Yeah. Those were guns of Second World War. Yes. But these guys, because they had Chinese links, yes, they had already, the Tanzania army had already acquired those BM. Yes. So they could just come, and we have never seen something like that. That's when people panicked.
And then they said that is Sabasaba.
Sabasaba, they named it Sabasaba. And it came to a time when even soldiers wanted to cause mutiny. Yeah. And Goan, this General Goan came, we were in Chitede near Chitede. People had left the front line. They said, one big guns. Can you imagine? We big guns, we are not fighting. That's when Gaddafi sent in those Libyans. My battle was attached to these Howizers, 155 millimeter. Yeah. But they were so heavy. And being it was a rain season by that time. They could bog down, so we had to leave them alone. We said we had to help with the Libyans. And they were left just completely helpless. They didn't know the place, the terrain and everything, and most of those young boys died. The rest were captured and we were taken together with them to Tanzania. But then Gaddafi bought them off. So we surrendered and we were taken off to Tanzania for imprisonment.
So you stayed in Tanzania for how long?
Sure, we went in April, they took us around
15th of April, yeah. That's
April. We came back 1980, June.
What?
Yes.
That was quite a long time.
Long time we were there. And very few people knew about most of the people thought we had been killed. Even our relatives never knew. But that's why I respect Red Cross. Whenever I find a sign, a box of Red Cross, I drop in a coin. They wanted to see where the soldiers who surrendered. Then one day we saw them coming. And things were not all that bad in those prisons because we were just sitting, doing nothing. Eating, playing, this smoggy chess, whatever, karate and all that. They brought us back. We were taken to Mbali. There's a prison in Mbali. All of us were taken there. Then those who had people in high places, we saw them being released, especially the Acholis and the Langis.
Yeah.
We were released early, but we were...
You stayed again in
jail, and that's when most of our friends died because of hunger. Sometimes you could eat once in a week. Most of the time you if you get a cup of water, hot water, that would cost you 50 shillings.
So how did you eventually leave the prison to?
They released us.
Which year was that?
1981, October 7th.
So what happened when you saw the light? You got out of the prisons.
I couldn't believe it. We could not believe that you were going out of jail. It was just hell. There was nothing. Red Cross gave us what we, jean, t-shirt, and canvas shoes.
Did your relatives come to receive you at the gates of the cells?
No, they didn't even know that we were going to be released. Only my sister who dared those soldiers died. My twin sister. She's the only one who dared. She always dared them. They could shoot them naked, checking for guns. Can you imagine? Stripping her naked. But she said, okay, I want to see my brother.
So what happens when you get home?
Oh, my parents were really, there was jubilation. But then everything was spoiled when my dad ordered a cow to be slaughtered. A lot of people came, and then we saw soldiers also coming.
Which soldiers? The Tanzanian soldiers?
Tanzanian soldiers, they want to eat. I said, please give them whatever they want. Because by then we were really, we were feeling it's a chore.
Yeah.
Being a soldier was a blessing.
You are very vulnerable.
Very. So when I saw them, later they went off after eating, drinking. Then I told my father, I said, I cannot stay here. These guys might come. If they tell them a soldier is there, he might come in the night and grab me. What are you going to do? Then we go to the city. I had my brother by then, but I didn't want to stay with him.
Yeah, because they would link you up.
Yeah, he was also with the army. He had joined, being a pilot. They needed them. He was flying these choppers. I said, no, I'm not staying with you. And they were planning to do something for me. What is he going to do? People cared. They decided that I should go on the maize mill.
Yeah. In Gisenyi or where?
No, in Mukono. We were building it in Mukono. That very night is when Kaira attacked the Lubiri barracks.
Yes.
And we said, now we're in trouble here. And exactly there was trouble for us because the next day I went to my brother and asked him about the whole thing. What do you say? He said, I know nothing about those things. I'm not involved. Kumbe, these Kairas, when they were in Nairobi, planning, they could come up with names. Yes. Oh, we've got Kakoza, we've got this one. When we capture, it's going to be this. Oh, this one is the pilot. And the spies
kept writing.
So after attacking Lubiri barracks, which was a fiasco.
And it caused the death of a lot of people.
And my brother was killed. Because,
so he was killed during that
time?
Yeah,
they went after him. They were asking for me. And he knew where I was. But he said, I don't know where he is. They beat him to death in Makindi. And we never saw the body. But I know the guy who took him. He was called Ageta. After killing my brother, they told me, where are you going? I said, I've got to run to the bush. But good enough, we had hidden guns during the 1979 war. So we just went and dug up those guns and some friends of mine. We didn't want to go to war. Yeah. We were weak. We had lost direction. No passport to run out of the country. No graduated tax tickets. So we went looking. I fell in the group of Kaira. I saw him. I had never seen him. I was so annoyed with him.
Why were you annoyed with him? Because of the fiasco?
Because of what he did. There was nothing militarily strategic on that. Because we found them with brand new guns. The AK-47, Czechoslovakia made. And with the 16 millimeter. But they had already taken out the bombs, playing about. We said, now, why did you go and attack that place? People are getting killed. You have lost most of the guns. Kaira ran.
He ran and went to Nairobi.
He went to Nairobi. Kaira, in fact, Kutesa has got a joke about Kaira's withdrawal. Yes. He said it was the longest withdrawal he has ever heard about in military history. From Nadangira to Atalanta. I had to take over. the group, because people got scattered, some were arrested. This Panda girl you heard about it.
Yeah, that's right. I remember the
Most
Panda
of the
guy.
boys were arrested, some were killed, some were dumped in Ruzira. Those who survived, we had to get them together. Me, I tried to go after them. I went to Nairobi. I talked to them. They had no plan at all. Until Chiseka Mugalu, the late Edward Mugalu,
Yes.
was Gwa, and Professor Kanyeri.
Yes.
Those who sat me down and asked me, what exactly do you want? We can take you to America. I said, I'm not going to America. I left some boys in the bush.
Yeah.
And I told them, I'm going. Now when I go, I abandon them. What are they going to do? They're going to become what? Thieves with guns.
About how many were there?
About 680.
Oh, that was quite a big number.
Big number.
Yeah.
So they packed me everything and I came back to Uganda. But they told me first to go and look for Museveni. And they also wanted to see him.
So you became the de facto leader of UFM.
Yeah, that small group, I took it over with there's a guy called Let Ndugute. We managed to form a training school. And I started training them, pushing them out. They go make some small attacks, steal guns, 1, 2, 3. In Museveni.
So you haven't told me the encounter with Museveni. How did you meet Museveni?
I went looking for them.
You went to Ruwero and started looking for him?
Exactly.
And where did you find him?
Not him first.
Yeah.
I found Serwanga, Mande, Jet Mwebaze. They had a camp in Gombe.
Yes.
So I was monitoring them for a week. I got to know their sick bay. That's where, when they brought medicine, I came out, I said, they were so frightened because I looked different. Me, I'm a soldier all my life. I look like a soldier. They said, where is this guy alone? I said, I want to see your boss. I've got some letters for him. And Sirwanga, we talked it out. So they said, Museveni is not around. He's right deep inside Ngoma. I said, you can walk there. I can walk there. So I think they contacted him. I don't know how they made their contacts. But he said I should go. And I went and met them in Ngoma. Made the Saleh, the Rijema, those 2 Mwines, and they were also fascinated by me. I said, who is this one? And I was saying, look what this guy is. I said, this daughter Phyllis, Tinyefunda, all of those.
Yeah.
So I was asking him some funny, very hard questions. I said, look here. When you captured, when you captured government,
yes,
you had told us, because they were sending us messages when we were fighting in 1979, that we should not run.
Yes.
Why did you put us in jail and then you left us there? He said, and he had an answer. That man is also a very cunning one. He said the situation at that time warranted you being behind bars.
So they actually agreed, received you?
Oh yeah, very nicely. I stayed with them for about 2 weeks because most of the Amin boys who were there with them knew about my reputation. They knew I was a good soldier. So they wanted me. I said to them, I cannot just abandon that group. To be dangerous. They are there, they have got guns. You are at this end, then me at the other end. We work together. Me, I went and joined the NRA in Masaka.
Yeah.
So we started advancing on what?
Yeah.
On Kampala. These talks, Nairobi talks, we heard about them, but we were not taking them seriously.
Yeah.
No. Until we captured the city. Yeah.
What happened then to the FEDEM? How did they get integrated into the National Army?
Immediately when we crossed over to Masaka, those who crossed over with me were integrated into NRA because they were soldiers. So automatically they became NRA. I became NRA because President Museveni promoted me to senior officer. Immediately I got to Masaka, he sent a message from Kenya that I should be on the rank of a senior officer. So even my boys, some were made junior officers. They were properly integrated.
Do you regret having been part of this transformation?
No. In fact, I love it because I've seen a lot of, a lot of people have good stories. But when I look what has happened to this country since we came in 1986, me, I know it was for the good of the country that the whole thing happened. Yeah. First of all, these days, what I don't like is tribalism.
Yeah.
That thing is disappearing now, slowly by slowly. That's what the most important thing I've seen since we came in. We've pushed away tribalism slowly by slowly, even though it's rearing its head again. But some few individuals who keep harping on it, oh, this and this. If Ugandans were really to do what they're supposed to do,
This country.
they have because the environment is good for them to do anything they want. I can see people going to Hong Kong, going to London, doing business, building. But then how they're doing it and what they're trying to do is some of them that they're doing stupid things like building these big plaza houses without parking. And that money, when I look at that money being dumped there, I wish it could be brought into the rural areas, and then you would see a great country.
You are a very inspirational soldier. You left town and decided to come and live in such a fantastic environment. What inspires you?
Yeah, we soldiers, we always think we are a little bit special than you people because we will live an organized life. But when I looked at the people around me, people in government, I started getting worried. I wasn't getting the picture. I thought I wouldn't like to get old when I'm involved with these guys. At my age, I want to live like a senior army officer. So I don't want to get involved with people. I don't like going to the market buying things. I want to have everything. I wanted to have my life, my old time life, comfortable.
Yeah.
And the only thing I could go into was into farming, agriculture, because I know two things: soldiery and agriculture.
Why did you have a stint in politics? You at one time stood for, and why did you leave?
Yeah, I come from Mbende, and I knew Mbende. The times when I was growing up, when people didn't know much about Mbende, but me, I knew the district. After some years, I could see that district was going to the dogs. And I went and told President Museveni, I said, we're having a problem. I think the people we're having back in the rural area, they're not doing a good job. And it's us who are losing what? Losing face. He said, what do you think we can do about it? I said, why don't I go and try to see exactly what's happening with these guys? Most of them, they laughed it off. They said, Kasirye, you cannot go into this stuff. I said, I can go in there. These are just me, and I can just tell them what to do. If you explain properly, like I've been telling people, if you're a good politician is someone who comes up with an idea,
Yeah.
and sell that idea
To the people.
to the people. If they buy it and it goes in action, that one is a good politician.
So do you think you made a transformation in Mitiani?
Oh yeah, I did a good job. Working relationship. I tried to teach them working relationship between the civil service and the people themselves. You know, going to work on these roads, trying to explain to them that, look here, if you rely too much on the government that you pay tax, you pay tax. By that time they were paying about 30,000 shillings. I think that's about $15.
Yeah.
That money is not enough to do whatever you want. You want medicine, so let's get, and they like agriculture. Because I've been telling people all along, there is no way you're going to talk about commercial farming when you're still using hoes.
Yeah.
So I introduced mechanization in Mbende. I told them, let's get these tractors. And people, they said, you cannot do it. They tried it and it failed. I said, okay, they tried it in the 60s, but we're in the 90s.
Yes, things have changed.
Things have changed. So I grabbed all those tractors they were using in different funny games at the district. I bought another new one. I said, okay, let's play. When they saw what we could do and what I was doing, because we got to know to get the data of the cereals every season. Why could we get the data? Whenever we come to till your land, we have a form. So you've got to tell us how many acres we are going to till. You say 10 acres. You have to tell us what are you going to plant. Yeah. So we give them, they put in their computer. I know, I say, okay, wait, what's happening in Kasanda? Yeah. That they have got about 700 acres of maize. Become sure. So I was trying to get that thing to catch up with the whole system. That's when we can engage people like World Food Program. Yeah. But now you cannot talk to World Food Program that we're going to sell you cereals. You don't have data. You don't know the tonnage you are going to have.
So why did you jump ship then?
Me, I'm not a civilian.
You should have continued and contested.
No. I don't want to jabba in things I don't. I knew I could lead them, but I wanted them to learn how to lead themselves, and me, I had to run back to my field.
Let me ask you the last question.
Yeah.
What do you think the people of Uganda need to transform themselves from the so-called poverty that seems to be self-inflicted?
Good, straight leaders at the lower level. Good, straight leaders.
People, you are a good leader, and you are in the area.
Yeah.
What have people learned from you?
To be self-sustained. Yeah. Food. I think it has caught on now. A lot of people now can, they have food. Because I knew, what I know is that most of the kids, we used to eat good. That's why we are smart people. If you don't feed them when they are young, they just get stunted. Yeah. So that's what I went after, food, and they got to see that they eat. Even around me, like this big place, people come and till the land, plant what you want, eat it, give the land, go. Or you sell, you want maize, plant it, go and sell.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Brigadier Kasirye. Thank you for